Make sure that goes down the right tube this time. I'm already off to a great start. Right before hitting that live tonight, let's just say that last sip went down the wrong tube. This will be interesting, folks, to see how tonight goes. This is a later episode than I typically feel good about. So I was sitting there teetering back and forth as to whether it's a good idea to go for it now or hold off. But the more I started thinking about it and diving into this information that I have queued up for you tonight, it's one of those discussions we just need to have sooner versus later. So why would I get in your way even to just bringing this more so to light? And we should just ask ourselves, could this potentially be a path we could take that would lead to we want to see results. We want to see solutions. And we can see so many problems around in the society, this country we live in today. I really feel there's something to this. It might even take away from the path I was considering of a web page and trying to hold state officials accountable. Shoot, why not? Why not reach out to our sheriffs, have them do their jobs? Could that potentially be a quicker route to take to see real accountability? I don't know. And there's an amazing sheriff. Not sure if you've heard of Sheriff Mack, but I'm proud to say, frick pride. I'm happy to say that, in fact, he's from Arizona. Unfortunately, it seems as though he's hung up his hat and he's more so in retirement, but he's speaking out on these issues, calling sheriffs to fulfill their oaths. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's just, we're facing so much corruption, and it would be great to see results. That being said, let's officially kick things off. Welcome to UNMUZZLED Chat. Guys, we love you. I missed you. I actually felt as though these last couple days taking off and spending around family, I felt kind of guilty. I wanted to step out and really provide something. And I ended up not that functional, but it was nice to spend time with some people I love dearly in my life. And I sure hope you got that opportunity and you all had great eats to be had. Okay. I sure hope that this is a path that will bless us. I sure hope that we find and take the best path before us sooner versus later. And it seems there's only one way to find out. When a path is just lying there before us, we literally cover zero ground when we only stare at the path. So let's start the discussion. Start reaching out either to unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. You can come guest. We could have a discussion on this very platform about it, or in the live chat tonight, or maybe even more importantly, to drop the comments and create a discussion in the long term, because as fun as it is to interact in the live chat, all that goes away once the live is ended versus an episode comment. Okay, let's get this screen share queued up. So Alison here. Alison, Morrow? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. She, in fact, does great work. This might even be a way of going about things I'm even considering, where she kicks off the initial 20 or so minutes on YouTube, a very tyrannical censored platform, and then she pops it over to Rumble for a full-length discussion. So you could see right here, this sheriff episode goes just over an hour long on Rumble, where it's only 20 minutes right here on YouTube. But let's hear this conversation, because with Sheriff Mack, I mean, he's been there. He's done that. He swore the oath. He knows not only what their job is supposed to be fulfilling, but he knows who he's supposed to be answering to. And it shouldn't be, let's say, the county attorneys. It shouldn't be any federal anything, because he's swearing an oath to God and the Constitution, and more so to we the people. So, very interesting. I couldn't be more excited. Let's go ahead and dive into this episode. It is fantastic. I mean, all the comments are all the links to all this information and some. Also, Alison's Rumble is in the description below. Like I said, she does a fantastic job. Dare I say, better than me, it seems, even in queuing up questions and really just asking amazing questions, bring out conversation we need to be having. So I'm so grateful for her. I'm grateful to have stumbled across her content. I even believe she reached out on Facebook, giving me some pointers. So very grateful to her. And let's dive into this.
Okay, if people want to go to your website, it's cspoa.org. Let's go right into the lawsuit that you're talking about against the Clinton administration. What was going on at the time, and why did you decide to sue?
Well, that's the $10,000 question I wish all the media would address. First of all, it was pursuant to the Brady Bill. And the Brady Bill was a gun control scheme promoted by Sarah Brady and the Gun Control Incorporated that she worked with. Relative to the injuries her husband received during the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan back in March of 1981. President Reagan had been president about 2.5 months, and they tried to kill him. So James Brady was shot in the head, and he was confined to a wheelchair after that. He was still very intelligent. And when we went to the Supreme Court, he was there, and I spoke with him. I made it a point to shake his hand and tell him how much I admired him. And he said he admired me for what I did. And it was a very congenial, and he was very gracious, and I absolutely loved him. And of course, he passed away about, 10 years ago or so. But he was a good man. But he was exploited by his wife, and I did not care for her, and I still don't. But the issue was this. The Brady Bill was the first time in history where the federal government, the White House and Congress, passed a statute when we went to the Supreme Court, sheriffs to enforce federal statutes and federal mandates for them for free, with no money attached, no grants, just saying this. And I wouldn't have done it if they paid me. I don't care. I'm not a political prostitute for Washington, D.C. Wow. I wouldn't have done it no matter what. But I'm just explaining the whole situation. There was no money. There was no negotiation. But there was a threat of arrest if we failed to comply.
Oh, wow.
Yes. They threatened to fine us $10,000 or put us in jail for a year or both. And in this little book that I put together about the case, it's very small, fits right in your shirt pocket, fits in your purse. It's only 16 pages. But in this book, it talks about the threat of arrest on page 4. I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
So it calls us the Cleos. And that's key to all of this, because I have maintained that the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in his county. No one supersedes the authority of the sheriff, primarily because of history, and 2, because he's the only elected law enforcement officer in the country. He answers directly to the power source, we the people.
Wow. Let's think on that for a sec. So with that, that in and of itself says to me, at least, that this is we the people's last line of defense. The actual sheriffs. It's an interesting thought that if we reached out to them and supported them to more so, hey, visit your oath, fulfill your oath. These are the issues going on, because it's not just impacting us, it's impacting their families' lives as well. Let's just say, we'll throw it out there. the tyrannical bioweapon shot known as the COVID shot. We could demand that not only these get pulled off of shelves, but arrest warrants are actually issued for those, let's say, Bill Gates. I mean, my goodness, the fall of the cabal, right? And Janet's amazing work really laid out the evildoers. The Vaxxed 1, 2, 3 series that we just went through really shows beyond even the COVID crimes. This could be a direct course of action that, in my eyes, my goodness, like, why didn't I think of this sooner? Why haven't I personally started reaching out to my local sheriff's departments and building relations and talking with them? And you know what? We'll just continue with Sheriff Mack because he more so knows what lies within their ability. And it is actually, they have more power, especially with we, the people behind them, that there's really nothing they couldn't do regarding all the crimes going on around us in this country. We don't have to rely on the federal government and the 3-letter agencies that we know are entirely upside down corrupt. So I'm excited about this, and I really hope all of us collectively start reaching out. I mean, reach out if you feel impressed. I don't want to sit here and twist anyone's arms like I kind of have before. Like, things have gotten challenging enough for us as it is. So I more so want to breathe light and excitement into seeing what we could pull together collectively, because it is collectively we'll more so get to the bottom of what is the best path to take from here.
So the threat of arrest goes this. Under a separate provision of the GCA, that's the Gun Control Act of 1968. So we know this is gun control. Any person who knowingly violates the section of the GCA amended by the Brady Bill shall be fined under this title, imprisoned for no more than 1 year, or both. Well, I was knowingly not going to comply because it said in the Brady Bill, the CLEOs. And who did they give this to? The sheriffs. So we know that they know that the sheriffs are the CLEOs, the chief law enforcement officer. But the threat of arrest and the attempt to commandeer sheriffs nationwide for federal bidding was way overboard, huge overreach. And so I came home from that meeting with the BATF when they told us what we had to do. And I cleared it through my wife that we were going to sue the federal government.
Okay, real fast. Forgive me if I didn't hear it specifically, but what were they telling you had to do? Like, can you give me an example of what you were required to do as a sheriff? You said, hey, this is unconstitutional. I'm not going to enforce this. Like, give me an example of something you wouldn't enforce.
Well, the first thing was unconstitutional was that they were trying to commandeer sheriffs. They can't do. They have no authority to do that at all. The jurisdictional boundaries are very clear on that. They cannot commandeer me. I work for Graham County. I work for the people. The federal government cannot fire me. They cannot hire me. They cannot tell me what to do. They want to work with me? Come and sit down. We'll talk about it. But you're not going to be my boss. Wow. But it required us to do background checks on every single person in our county wanting to buy a gun, and we had to pay for all of that. We had to do all the bookkeeping, and they required us to check mental history records. That was against the law for law enforcement. We do not have access at that time. We may now, but at that time, accessing mental history records were not available to law enforcement, and it would have been a violation of law. So we do all this, keep all the paperwork, and then the people have to wait 5 days to get their gun. And it gave me the power. It gave every sheriff the power to say who could have a gun and who couldn't. And I could just say, no, oh, you didn't vote for me. Oh, you had a bumper sticker for my opponent. I'm not giving you a gun. And there's no recourse.
Oh,
and so all of it was just trash. But the thing of it is, we learned because Howard Metzenbaum, senator from New York, introduced Brady Bill 2 just 2 weeks after I filed a number 1. It never made it out of committee because they said, look.
By the way, this gets good. And the other conversations we have queued up gets into the nitty gritty, what potentially we could achieve through this. I know I'm even questioning whether I mixed up the order in the most profound way or not. But I mean, just to speed, well, I guess you can't speed up a live. I have this at 1.25 speed, but to hear them out and the tyranny, and they really are in a huge sense, our last line of defense. I mean, it's unfortunate that we got to resort potentially to this, that things aren't, let's say, more so operating by design. Even the military, folks, it's pretty wild. But I just want to see us living in I want to see sovereignty and a constitutional republic functioning as it was designed. There's just so much corruption. It's crazy. But with all this corruption is great opportunity.
Number one is in litigation, and you want to pass number two? No. So they held off, and we found out there were 5 Brady bills scheduled to be passed 1 year after the other for 5 years until the Second Amendment was completely destroyed.
Wow.
First of all, gun control is against the law in America.
Yes, it is.
I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. I had to keep my oath. I had to keep my word. And there's no way I was going to go along with this. And so sheriffs, 6 other sheriffs joined me in this lawsuit, and 7 sheriffs saved the Second Amendment from this Brady bill gun control movement. And I'm proud to say I started all of that, and I answered the call. And the Supreme Court case is the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of America. And every American should have this book. It's available at our website, cspoa.org. And while you're there, become a member of the CSPOA posse.
Christmas.
Let's actually pull that up real quick. We have it, and it is also provided in the description below. CSPOA stands for Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. So they have a whole bunch of things available on this webpage. But I'm gonna track down and find that little booklet, because that's something clearly I'd like on my person at all times. In fact, I'm gonna cue this up. We might even listen to this little awesome golden nugget here at the end of this episode. But let's wrap this interaction up. Allison's about to turn things up a bit.
Every kind of holiday that you could possibly want to celebrate that goes with wine is coming up. So go join AlisonWinePromo.com. It's my wine club where you can get 6 bottles every 3 months. And you know what? We're talking about extremism today. These are extremist wines, okay? You want to be an extremist? Because some of these wines come from between 1,000 feet. And these are very limited edition, remote areas of Argentina, France, Chile, Spain. And it's a great way to support the show. If you're not a wine drinker, get it as a gift. You can get the wine club yourself, get all the perks of it, hear about all the speech, and getting to hear the other sides of the stories that we're not hearing in mainstream media. You can send me mail, P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida 34432. Love getting cards of encouragement.
Forgot her commercial was in here, folks. I'm sorry, I don't know the timestamp on it. Just trying to get through it real quick.
You can send tips, donations for the show, artwork, all kinds of stuff. Just nothing edible. I know people like to bake cookies for Christmas.
No, send me the cookies. I'll take the cookies. Go ahead. But no, we want all of that.
I trust people more than I do. I just never know if you're going to lace with arsenic or something. So there's that. And then also nothing creepy. My kids open the mail on the way home. They love to do that. So thank you. Everybody does that. Okay. Can you explain too, for us who may not understand legalese, what exactly the Supreme Court decided was key to your argument for it? And I asked that too, specifically, like I'm pulling up a Rolling Stone article right now, constitutional sheriffs inside the far right movement that's above the law.
Wow.
So this is what a lot of these groups say, that they think
so dumb.
You guys think you're above the law. But what you're telling me is that actually the law decided in your favor that your argument is correct. So you're on par with the law. If I listen to you, if I read Rolling Stone,
with the law.
You guys are just a bunch of miscreants thinking that you want total anarchy. It's like
yeah, it's as though the FBI, the CIA, if let's say a sheriff started issuing warrants for probable cause on individuals doing tyrannical things, let's say even surveying unconstitutionally, infringing upon our privacy rights, they all are doing it. It's been proven. Even administration and political figures, it's been proven. Yet, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I was getting kind of educated the other day, even through some family members, regarding Ronald Reagan and what led to his impeachment, and it had to do with right up this alley. Yet, the political temperature today, let's just say certain individuals and certain parties, if you will, I like to stay away from that jargon because that's all being weaponized to divide us, the people, and not actually see the corruption for what it is. But there are parties and individuals getting away with not even a conspiracy about that, like legit getting away with infringing upon their opponent's privacy. It's insane. And yet there's no impeachment. There's no pressuring them to an extent of stepping down. That, my friends, is a two-tiered system. That, my friends, is in fact the individuals that are pressuring these sheriffs and paying for this type of propaganda regarding the sheriffs, and they themselves are the ones acting out, being above the law. 100%. It's so backwards. Yet this engine of propaganda and everything this group has been doing has been deceiving we the people for far too long. I'm just so grateful for Rumble. I'm grateful for the podcast opportunity to actually have this communication while we have it. I mean, it would be nice to see the civilians, all of us, the whole population of this country, more so understand, hey, if there's any censorship, if there's any shadow banning, any infringement on our First Amendment, we are not in a free country at all. And with that realization, hopefully people come to the conclusion, yes, I value freedom. I value the Bill of Rights, the constitutional rights, the God-given rights. There's another one in there. Oh, it's right there on the tip of my brain. But we wouldn't tolerate this. And we would, with tearing that down, more people would be coming across the information similar to this, to where they're not being fooled by the true propagandists, the ones that are turning this world upside down. This is just a great example of just that.
So please explain the SCOTUS decision and how it came to be and what was so important, I guess, to your argument that they picked up on.
Alison, thank you. You're really asking great questions. Okay, so first of all, any of you can read the case. Look up the case. Look up Mac VUS. You'll see the other sheriff that went with me to the Supreme Court. That'll come up too. Prince, Printz. The sheriff from Montana and I ended up at the Supreme Court together. The case was consolidated at the Ninth Circuit when we both were there because we're both in the Ninth Circuit. So the Brady Bill decision written by Justice Scalia was a 5-4 split. We won. The 4 Democrats sided with Clinton. The 5 Republicans sided with me. I really have disdain for the political nature of that. We're all supposed to be supporting the Constitution, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
Those who believe the Second Amendment does not protect a God-given right to keep and bear arms, you're wrong. It does. But politicians and their agenda try to destroy that and brainwash everybody that it didn't mean shall not be infringed. It didn't mean that at all. If you study what the Founding Fathers said, you know that it did mean that. So this decision, and I'm going to give you 3 quotes from this decision. Scalia introduces it saying he's going to give us a history lesson. He's not trying to protect political dogma or political agendas, which most of them do today. He's just trying to tell the truth, and he's taking us through this history lesson. The first thing he quotes is the decision of New York v. U.S. In 1992, New York won a case against the federal government because the feds were trying to force New York to take, hold, and store nuclear waste. And New York said, we don't want that crap here, and you can't force us to take it. You're not our boss. And they won. New York won. This is what they said in New York. Again, Scalia quoting from a previous decision. I will quote it, and I have it memorized. We have held, however, this is quote, we have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction, end quote. So I want to ask all those experts who are always leftist experts, of course.
Of course.
Do you believe that we should protect people's civil rights today? Do you believe that we should stand for what Martin Luther King fought and died for in a peaceful manner? And we say the same thing. We quote Martin Luther King. And so should we, if government is being abusive to citizens like the IRS, or that they come to go door to door confiscating guns, should we stop that? Yes. Should we have stopped Rosa Parks from being arrested back in December 1st of 1955? Yes. Stop the abuse. If the government is trying to arrest you for peaceably assembling, should we stop that? if they're trying to arrest you for freedom of speech that they don't agree with. Yes, we should stop that. We should stand in the way.
That's their oath. That's what their oath consists of. 100%. It's time. You tell me, is this one of the more direct paths than trying to hold our state officials accountable to our demands, what we're seeing issues with, or is it more feasible to go directly to the sheriffs because they're more so the ones with the abilities to hold even our state officials accountable? And if they don't, I mean, we could provide the paperwork. Let's just go to the COVID shot. We could provide the paperwork of the Nuremberg Code. All 10 line items were entirely infringed upon during a scam-demic, a planned demic. It was planned 100%. If you're on the fence on that, just watch 17, 18, 19 of the Fall of the Cabal, the episodes. Like, Janet hits it out of the park. Rest in peace, Janet. We love you. I am convicted she did not suicide herself. Nope. That she built up with her tremendous gifts, such an audience that when people start getting on the fringe and they're pushing against this power infrastructure, criminal infrastructure, and it's gaining enough momentum, well, and they don't, let's say these pharmaceutical companies, the head of the snake, the evil that's sitting on the throne in this world today, when it challenges them and they don't have a way of controlling the narrative anymore and censoring as of right now, they're trying everything they can to pass legislation that there would be so many loopholes to under that legislation, like cancel, let's just say, podcasts such as this or Alison's or so many. But they didn't have that means, then yeah, there's no lengths evil isn't willing to go to keep the momentum they've gained on their side. And it's just crazy. Reflecting back on everything we've recently gone through, I do need to do better personally at approaching it just with more questions. I've been humbled recently, and I apologize for sitting here cracking the whip when so many of us, I mean, how ludicrous. I had a close friend of me just today we were talking about this, and she expressed concern for me at times where I was more so seen on the fringe. And I'm so grateful for this conversation and being at a place I can absorb people critiquing and adding. It's not even critiquing. There's just such great value to humbling yourself, letting pride and ego entirely go to where we could absorb someone showing up, expressing concern, anything, whether, anyway, it's hard for me to unpack right now. I have been personally struggling with the Lyme flare and stuff. And this is why I'm just so on fire, folks. I'm trying to find those effective paths because I can see a deterioration in health in our societies today. And I just I'm so passionate fighting tooth and nail on behalf of all of our health. I believe that is a direct path evil is taken to diminish to where we don't have really that resilience, the ability, the bandwidth, the time, the financial reserve to really even plug into these things on the level we should be. So I think that's kind of the cornerstone for so many of us that we need to start on and have more so breakthroughs with our health that will lead to more so showing up and being a blessing. I mean, that's in my eyes now more so fulfilling why we're here in this life. versus the programming of for Americans, chasing the American dream, and all that entails. Like, it's just we've kind of gone past that at this point with the level of corruption and tyranny and this. I'm just ranting too much, but I wish I could express better. Like, I'll have to think on this. And I'm going to try. We'll see if I could do attempt number 2 here in a bit, but love you guys.
Interposition. We put ourselves in the way of the tyrant who's trying to destroy your God-given civil rights.
Something I just thought of that I found really interesting during COVID. We lived at the time in Eastern Washington, and we technically lived in Spokane County, but we lived very close to Stevens County, and the politics are very different in Spokane County versus Stevens County, Eastern Washington.
Yes.
And if we went to dinner in Stevens County, we never saw anybody wearing a mask. And the first time we went out, because we were new parents, so we weren't really going out very often, but one time we went out, and we happened to ask, like, wow, it's so different here compared to Spokane County. What's the deal? And the owner of the restaurant said, our sheriff said he's not forcing us to follow the federal mandates. And
that's right.
He's not going to enforce the mandates. So it was just really interesting to see that. Like, wasn't even enforcing, I don't know what you think about this, because I think there were state rules at the time too.
Right.
That the
not laws. None of them were laws.
None of them.
And even if they were, we should have stood. We still should have
orders or mandates.
We had to stand against it no matter what. And there's over 550 sheriffs that did that nationwide.
Okay, so that was the biggest difference. I mean, you saw, because people are like, well, if our sheriff isn't going to arrest us for not wearing a mask or social distancing. Or
how about being fired from your job if you didn't get vaccinated?
Well,
absolutely absurd. And all those people are getting their jobs back and winning in court.
Thank you for helping me transition into telling people about.
Guys, I could actually see this is conversation Alison wants to dive into, but just keep in mind, as of right now, she's kicking off her show on YouTube. I could just tell she wants to dive into that and wants to embellish on that point, but she's cleverly trying to appease a crowd on YouTube to more so get to that and uncensored stuff on Rumble. It's just ingenious. Be nice to just see that people see the problems and the threat and understand what a great threat any suppression of our First Amendment actually is. I think YouTube would be dead. Like, we all would just leave it and it would fizzle out, and that would be fantastic. But I could just see it with the content I've already absorbed that she's put out. I could tell. Anyway.
About my lawsuit. I'm suing Washington State. Actually, Sheriff Mack probably doesn't even know this. I was working for the Department of Natural Resources in Washington State, interviewing people like Sheriff Mack during the COVID pandemic. And my bosses told me that I had to stop doing that if I wanted to keep my job with the government and the state of Washington. I refused to do that because I said I had a First Amendment right to continue in my personal time with my personal gear. They fired me anyway.
Love it.
So a nonprofit in Washington has taken my case. We just filed a federal lawsuit about a month ago. If you'd like to support the travel that I'll have on the way back and forth, help me with babysitting money, time I'm going to have to take away from the podcast to focus on the lawsuit, you can go to givesendgo.com/Alison. Free speech fight. Thank you so much to everybody who's been so generous and has already given. Really, really do appreciate that. So yeah, a lot of us have stories.
Wonderful.
Even the people you don't expect.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Yeah. So Alison, let me ask you the question then. This is all we're about, is defending you and anybody else like you from government forcing you to get vaxxed, arresting you for not wearing a mask, arresting pastors for having church, arresting pastors in the United States of America. We defended that, and we told every sheriff. And these experts are saying, "Oh no, the sheriffs think they're above the law. They're going to destroy democracy. They're going to destroy our country."
Supporting law.
While our country's being destroyed and our constitution's being destroyed, they're going after the people that wanted to protect liberty.
They're upholding the law. The ones that push those propagandist narratives were they were breaching our laws. Insane. And all their war machine that they had built out and still exists today, luckily it's not mainstream anymore. Independent podcasters, praise God, have more so become the mainstream, which is so it's been very revealing. It's been lifting the veil, and I'm grateful for it because it's been very instrumental in my breakthroughs in this great humbling. Oh, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is interesting because I think both sides feel very concerned about the state of the United States, and yet we see it very, very differently. I mean, I see a lot of journalists' personal posts because I'm still friends with a lot of people who are still in the business. I see their personal posts on social media, and they're very, very concerned about the direction the United States is going. But it's for the total opposite reasons that I'm concerned, So we just see things totally differently. All right, if you join us,
wait, real quickly, I wanted to finish those other two quotes from the decision. It'll be fast.
Please. Okay, go back.
Okay.
Yep.
So right now we know that the states are not subject to federal direction. State legislatures, states, same thing. That came out of the decision. Now get this one. He quotes the Federalist Papers. Can you believe this? He's quoting the founders in the Federalist Papers. Quoting, hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. Well, how does that happen? Quoting again. The different governments will control each other. Now, do you know why the experts don't want to quote my decision? Because it completely contradicts everything they're lying about. And that's why they won't do it. Next one, last quote. This is so powerful. The Constitution protects us. Okay. But the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. It divides power among sovereigns and among branches of government precisely so that we may resist the temptation, which is exactly what government did, resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as an expedient solution to the crisis of the day. The crisis of the day was an expedient solution by Congress and all these other politicians to destroy our personal freedom and our personal choices regarding our own medical care. And folks, this is just a small sample of the power of this case. And folks, this costs $2. What do I make? 25 cents per copy? Okay, there's no markup in this. You can get 3 for $5. Get as many as you possibly can and pass them around to other people. I bet this would help you in your case too.
And check it out.
I bet you $500 this would help you.
Yeah, well, I'm pass it off to my attorneys, and somebody in the chat reminded me to say who my attorneys are. Is the Silent Majority Foundation, the Silent Majority Foundation. You can go to silentmajorityfoundation.org and hear about them, learn about them, and you can even donate to the case and their legal fees over there. I did pull up the 10th Amendment just so we can just read it real fast because I don't know if we've read it yet. But the 10th Amendment, the power
it's in here. It's quoted in here.
Okay, good. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Wow. Fantastic. So she does amazing work. Check out the links below. Doing really good, getting great views, great following on Rumble. It's even larger than what she had on YouTube, it seemed. Let's actually take a quick look. Well, no, it looks like her subscribers is a little higher. I think with time that will change. We will see. I've pushed the envelope a little too hard on YouTube. I've more so resorted to reels versus full content, but I don't know. We'll see if I get more engaged. It's just, if we're successful on YouTube, it will never be bigger than Rumble because we want to get people over here. Why focus on all the edits over there when we can just simply speak freely here? Gosh, it's so important. Now, Sheriff Mack actually recently just made he just made an appearance on the Stu Peters Network. And we know Stu, he is as unmuzzled as it gets. I'm grateful that he's able to amass the following he has and not let up on the, let's say, the gas pedal with passion and conviction. It does seem for me, my path is going to be different. Now, if I feel inspired to unleash passion and this and that, great. But it just might not be the gifts I was given, and we'll see. But I have great respect and appreciation. Is he perfect? No. Has he achieved any type of idolship from? No, absolutely not. But I just appreciate I'm saying that enough. It's just good to see people truly showing up entirely unmuzzled. So let's check this out, because this actually really exposes what sheriffs in fact are able to do on our behalf. And let's look into it and start consider reaching out to local sheriff's departments, no matter where you are.
You know, it has been said many times that America's sheriffs are the American people's last line of defense in government. America's sheriffs are the last line of defense for the American people against tyranny. The last line of defense from the jackboot of the federal Stalinist agents stamping down on the human face or on the faces of your life forever. Sheriffs are elected. It's a constitutional office. They swear an oath to God.
Elected.
They swear an oath to the Constitution. They swear an oath to the United States. Not some mayor, not some politician or some city council like the police departments do.
Mm-hmm.
No, they swear an oath to the Constitution and to God.
It's a big point.
Police departments are agents of the government. They're agents of the politicians. But sheriffs, at least in theory, are agents of the people. And it's not just in theory, because all over the country, sheriffs in recent years have been on the front lines fighting against both state and federal efforts to confiscate guns and to lock citizens in their homes and to fill entire towns with disgusting illegal alien criminals. The list goes on and on. Back in 2019 and early 2020, just before the COVID scamdemic really took off, sheriffs in Virginia and elsewhere helped to launch what became known as the Second Amendment Sanctuary Movement. And in that movement, counties declared themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries that would not enforce unconstitutional gun control and confiscation orders issued by the state or by the feds. Sheriffs and citizens stood side by side.
Fantastic.
They told their county boards and their city councils, no, we're not going to cooperate with the gun grabbers.
Good.
And in most cases, the boards agreed. And they drafted resolutions telling the states to kick rocks. The effort was so effective that 107 of Virginia's 133 counties and independent cities declared themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries. And in some of these counties, sheriffs went as far as to vow to deputize and arm their citizens to protect their Second Amendment rights. Should have never come to that.
Wow.
And all of that resistance is what blocked the state legislature from ramming through Michael Bloomberg's gun control scheme. It would have been impossible to implement because the sheriffs wouldn't enforce it. So this and so much more should happen in every single state of the union. Sheriffs have the power. They have the means. They have the duty to step in and protect their communities and their states and their entire country from destruction because they have the ability to control the agenda of local law enforcement, and they have the constitutional authority to refuse to enforce illegal fake laws drafted by foreign-owned politicians that quite frankly want you dead. Sheriffs have the power to issue arrest warrants to try and fry the COVID scamdemic bioweapon jab pushers and lockdown enforcers. They can prosecute election fraud. They can enforce immigration law.
Why haven't they been doing it?
During the first Trump administration, sheriffs all over the country were working with ICE to send illegals the hell back to wherever they came from. But in 2021, Alejandro Mayorkas and border czar Kamala Harris put a stop to all of that.
How?
Just like Kamala did in California when she was the attorney general there. You see, sheriffs should be issuing arrest warrants against those two and many more for facilitating the invasion and premeditated genocide of America.
Agreed.
They should be raising posses, walking into the offices of NGOs like the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society and into the government office buildings that are commanding the invasion of America. They should start making arrests. Because, again, they would have the Constitution on their side and millions of Americans as well, for that matter.
How many hundreds, like Laken Riley, so many of our women and children would still be with us, wouldn't have suffered such atrocities, and how many more? Yeah.
Sheriff Richard Mack is the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona. He's the founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, which is a group that brings citizens and sheriffs and law enforcement officers and politicians together in the interest of taking our country back. Sheriff Mack was the first sheriff in American history to successfully sue the federal government, stopping their attempt at commandeering the office for sheriff nationwide.
Wow.
Sheriff Mack, just like a whole lot of others, believes that the sheriffs can step up to defend the American people from the government tyranny, and that sheriffs really are America's last line of defense before the people are forced to take matters into their own hands.
Wow.
We agree. So to that end, we would like to speak with him, and he joins us now. Sheriff Mack, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Wow. Here we go.
Stu, in 3 minutes, you just summarized the work, the purpose, and the mission statement of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. It was perfect. Thank you so much.
Do you agree that I mean, from where I sit, Sheriff Mack, I'm kind of a little bit black-pilled in the sense that it's pretty obvious that so many sheriffs should have already stepped up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I wonder every day, because I agree that the sheriff is the last line of defense. Where are they?
Good question.
Some of them are listening to their county attorney, and that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
He's their legal advisor, and he basically, the county attorneys across this country basically tell their sheriffs, you don't have the authority to keep your oath of office. And
see, consider this. Public office, private citizen. We are private citizens of this country. The individuals at the top, I mean, it's all public office positions. Public. We should know everything. We should have full accountability of the money being spent, what our money is going towards. We don't even have that transparency. We don't have, they fight tooth and nail to keep a shield of protection and privacy on everything they're engaged in, not just regarding our money, but even their private lives. Yet, none of us have our privacy anymore. Could it possibly be? We know bribes can only be so effective. When someone's morally upright, I mean, the reality of it is we all, and just for a moment, consider yourself in this chair challenging yourself to speak to the world. I have skeletons in the closet. Are you kidding me? I'm mortal. I'm flawed. I'm human. And I've more so come from living a life on the other side of the tracks to my own detriment. I'm so grateful to not be lost in the woods anymore. But with that incredible, I mean, they got beehives, like off-grid, crazy data collecting facilities. They have admitted, like our own government, that they don't even have the ability yet to go through all that information. But as they're, technologically advancing AI and things of that nature, well, they're getting closer and closer each and every day to just communicating with an AI program to pull up everything on a certain individual dating back who knows how long. So more than even bribing, consider the blackmail. But if we, the people, get behind individuals and they're responding to us, I don't care what a tyrannical government would pull out of their pockets to these individuals when they're actively, we can see the fruits of their labor, right? And not allow this type of evil to be held over, let's just say, champions in our current state of society that are stepping forward, willing to push the ball down the field to our benefit. It's just crazy. They try digging up everything they could on Trump and all these other individuals when they get loud enough and they're actually moving the ball. And it's clear. Janet showed so many doctors, so many other individuals that when they pulled out all the stops and these individuals weren't stopping, they resort to more drastic measures. People, we're not even in the know, but it's in the thousands. It's in the thousands. It's not just JFK, which they've somehow even had secrecy regarding that. Are you kidding me? We can just look at the egregious outcomes and they're unacceptable. And we've been accepting them because we've been indoctrinated for way too long. It's such a blessing to just wake up. But anyway, consider yourself in this chair. You gotta, in these positions, you gotta come to terms with everything being exposed 100%. And it's just you know what? My conviction and the path I'm on is more important to me than any form of embarrassment, torture, loss of life. It's that's fulfilling because I'm just so convicted and have so much love for everyone. I mean, I have a funky way. I know I've stepped in it and the approaches I've had, but hopefully I'll be shifting into a more effective way instead of cracking a whip, because it's just crazy. My own cognitive dissonance, where I more so rebelled on that cracking of whip and people telling me what to do. And then here I end up in a position of doing that, just that, as though in a sense I know better, because I don't. It's just so crucial when you absorb enough information, when that veil it lifts enough, it just becomes clear what in fact is taking place, why the world is the way it is. And when you kind of just see the picture, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, because I'm clearly not one. You know, even in the midst of these great challenges of a bioweapon that was created, and Lyme disease is no joke, I still am gifted, like, from God. Like, enough of the veil coming up. I just hope with following this path, I'll be able to articulate things better, because seeing it and then acknowledging and then bring it into words and articulating. I mean, that's kind of what I've been struggling with. So hopefully that will get clear and a little better with time. It might just be a forever path and a pursuit, but it also leads to the passion to minimize this happening to you. Now, I just kind of got a little too far off track. Let's get back into this.
And none of those attorneys have ever seen my Supreme Court case. And if they've seen it, they've ignored it like most of the rest of the country does. But this Supreme Court case, and folks, every one of you ought to get a copy of this off my website.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's the title. This is the color of the book. It's not big. It fits right in your shirt pocket. Okay. It's only 16 pages long, but this is worth its weight in platinum, palladium, and gold all put together, because it describes exactly what you've been talking about. In this decision written by Justice Scalia that we won, it was a 5-4 split. That doesn't negate the victory at all. But it says that he's going to talk to us about a history lesson of federalism, the difference between federal and state powers. And he even quotes the Federalist Papers in this and quotes the Constitution. And it's not just the most powerful 10th Amendment decision ever. It's one of the most powerful decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. And he says this about Federalist 51. Hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. The different governments will control each other. So, folks, it's our job to stand up against tyranny. And if they're out of line, and by the way, we've been pushing the same thing. We've been pushing for the last 6 months that, because one, we thought it was a very good chance that Kamala was going to win, and we needed to start investigating the criminals in Washington, D.C. who have wittingly aided and abetted illegal immigration into this country. And sometimes they actually participated in it. And after I put that out, I talked to Sheriff Mark Lamb, who you know very well, and he said, I've already completed the investigation on Mayorkas, and I turned it into my county attorney's office. Well, his county attorney just lost, and so he didn't do anything with it. But now we have a good county attorney there. But the thing of it is, we put this out to hundreds, if not thousands, of sheriffs. And so your question is still valid. Where are you, sheriffs? What are you doing? Have you ever read my case? Have you ever read the Constitution? Have you seen what's going on in our country?
Wow.
And you still sit back and watch? Now, look, you mentioned all the good sheriffs in Virginia and the counties that made sanctuaries for the Second Amendment. And some of them now have made sanctuaries for the entire Constitution. We don't want it to just be a sanctuary for the Second Amendment, but all of the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
And so we're really pushing that. We have. And now it's time to act. Oh, Trump won. Everything's fine.
Nope.
No, it isn't. Just look at the governor in Illinois. Look at the governor in California. They're not going to change. In fact, they're going to double down. They've even said they were. So, folks, we still have a lot of work to do, and it's time to carry out these investigations. And I'm going to call the county attorney in Pinal County, Arizona, and I'm going to ask him if he'll take this case and issue a warrant for Mayorkas after, of course, he reads the case and says, yeah, there's enough evidence to go here. That's exactly what we need with all of the crooks in Washington, D.C., because now they've brainwashed themselves into believing that they can do whatever they want, and they're never held accountable.
I know that Tony Fauci wasn't the mastermind behind COVID-19. No, he's a very easy fall boy, a very easy scapegoat, front face. Yeah. You know, he's the guy that in a serious country would have already been held to extreme accountability.
He was nevertheless
a frontman to a criminal organization. Janet exposes that, and none other than the fall of the cabal. What a blessing. What a gift. If you haven't checked that out, be sure to go back in these recent episodes. Very powerful. I just feel I need to hone in on my own health to where I could present better. I could do better. I need to do better. I must do better. And I hope that resonates on a personal level with more to acknowledge, you know what? I'm not as sharp as, let's say, I used to be, or as sharp as I'd like to be. There's always room for improvement in this mortal existence, and with all the different angles of attack also exposed in the fall of the cabal, just ramps up that sense of urgency to take it serious. Watching what we're drinking, watching what we're eating, getting a hormonal balance, nutritional balance, detoxifying from heavy metals, molds, parasite cleanses. Like, chronic illness and disease is running rampant in this country. We must get to the bottom as to what is triggering that. And that, my friends, I do feel is what's leading to this disconnect of sheriffs doing what they're supposed to, or the people. There's more pressures from our government and, let's say, their county attorneys and their legal representation than from we the people. And that's more so probably why a lot of them, let's say, complied with the COVID tyranny. So glad to hear that so many didn't. And look at the liberty and free agency, those individuals. I recently was even challenged on free agency. It's like our loving creator, God, is all about our agency and freedom, but it wasn't free. It came at the cross, the cost of a cross. It's not free now because it cost lives in our armed forces. It cost extreme efforts and lives, even with this form of law and the sheriffs and so many other service members. So it's our agency isn't free. And you know what? There's a picture. Let me pull it up. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. Thomas Jefferson. And there sure is a lot of ignorance. I've been ignorant in too many things, and I'm excited to weed all that out, all the programming, the defective wiring, so we could see. I mean, knowledge from Socrates. Good. Ignorance. Evil. You can just see that. And I've fulfilled a lot of evil through that. You know, once again, I'm getting lost. You know, it's a tough, I'm kind of realizing this is not my prime time, let's say, to be doing episodes, but dang it, it's been a couple days off, and why not? Let's get this information out, and I'm excited to go over one of the angles of attack on our health more definitively, thoroughly tomorrow, because I've seen that angle of attack ramped up beyond belief. So I'm none other than I'm going to be diving into Freakin Skies. Look forward to that live. If it's something you haven't checked out, join me on the live tomorrow. I should be around 12 or 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I hope to see you then. Let's continue.
Of course. And so it would be very simple, in my opinion. The evidence is there. There's enough evidence there for a sheriff anywhere to issue a fully extraditable nationwide warrant for the arrest of Tony Fauci. It's just really disappointing that hasn't happened. And, Fauci and the COVID thing and the bioweapon attack and all of that. I mean, that's just one aspect. I mean, we're talking about the trafficking of children. We're talking about the disappearance of children. We're talking about CPS. We're talking about, the list just goes on and on and on. And where are they? I mean, so I agree. And I would really be interested to hear you report to me what the Pinal County attorney says after you ask, hey.
Well, we're here to question. Could this potentially be the clearest path to seeing results? How do we achieve that? Well, on a civilian level, on a personal level, building relations with our sheriff's departments, even locally, because they do have the ability. They have the means. They have the duty, and they could issue statewide warrants for so many individuals that are causing any one of those things and more. I'm just pondering it for myself in this moment. Is there a clearer path to seeing results? We don't know unless we go down that path a little ways and start reaching out. So if this starts speaking to you and you want to research, please report back to me, either in the comments, any of the social medias, X, Facebook, that we're on, obviously Rumble, or just reach out to me personally at muzzlechat@gmail.com. Let me know your findings. If you feel this is a viable solution or not, how maybe your communication went with the sheriff's department. It'd be interesting. Let's see if we can build some momentum there.
Are you going to prosecute this? Are you going to honor an investigation and a warrant being issued for the arrest of Alejandro Mayorkas? He's a traitor.
Mm-hmm. He is. Yeah, absolutely. This is treason. Those types of crimes that they're committing is against all humanity, but especially those of us in America. Yeah. It's a crime against every citizen. And he swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Article 4, Section 4 says the federal government shall protect our borders from invasion.
Wow.
And so he violated that, and that is treason.
How is that not an invasion?
Aiding and abetting. And then if they find treason in there, absolutely add that to it, because we believe it is also. But it's time to hold these crooks in Washington, D.C. accountable.
Wow.
And the sheriffs of this country. If we're really going to pull off this nationwide deportation, then the sheriffs are going to have to be helping Trump succeed in that movement. Look, the sheriffs know the county. They know where these gang cells are and the international terrorist groups are. They know where they are. They know where they're holding up. And these sheriffs need to be involved in this process and get these crooks out of here. And look, I'm not against immigration. I am against corruption and illegal immigration, and both of those have been connected. And it's time to respect the rule of law.
We don't totally agree there, but that's okay. We don't have to. I don't like immigration. But I will ask you this:
you don't like any immigration?
I don't like any immigration. I don't want the watering down of America. But I want to ask you this:
good point.
If you were the sheriff right now, still today, would you have already issued a warrant for the arrest of Mayorkas and for Fauci, among others?
Yes, I would have. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Is there any chance that you are bored and
let's get you elected?
I think you'd be elected on landslide just based on that policy alone.
Well,
I mean, look at this. Look at the prosecutors who literally ran their entire campaigns on, I will go after Trump. I will manufacture out of whole cloth fake cases in unprecedented ways to charge this man if you just elect me and put me in power. And that's how Alvin Bragg came to power, right? And then he did it. So if you said,
I will say, I have called for a complete moratorium on all immigration.
Good.
Until we get this thing settled at the border, we need to stop all immigration. So I agree. We're pretty close there, because I have said that for the last 5 years. They need to call a moratorium on all of it and then set up a good plan, and then no illegal immigration whatsoever. Not what Kamala was calling the bipartisan law. That only guaranteed more illegal immigration. And that's why that was so stupid for
crazy.
Whoever agreed to do that. It was just absolutely insanity, and typical of Washington, D.C.
And as for coming out of retirement and showing the rest of these sheriffs and leading by example, are you considering it? Will you come back? Will you come be the America's sheriff that we need?
Well, I'll be 72 next month, and running for sheriff again really isn't on my list. But if it would work, I mean, what would I do? Move home to my old county and run for sheriff? That would be in 3 years, because that sheriff just won. I could look at maybe a county that would have an election in 2 years, but I don't know. I really feel my calling is to work with sheriffs and get them to know and understand their oath of office.
But somebody, as you know, Sheriff Mack, one of them actually has to have the testicular fortitude to carry it out.
Oh, yeah, well, I'd be happy to do it. And look, I had a confrontation with the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers, and I kicked them out of my county. And several sheriffs have done that before with other agencies, Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service, FDA in Elkhart County, Indiana.
Wow.
I'm really fed up with the feds, and there's no question that the sheriffs have still got to take a strong stand and protect the people in their counties from these corrupt crooks in Washington, D.C. And that's why a lot of sheriffs are waiting for the FBI to go after these crooks in Washington. They're not going to do it. They're part of it.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, so they're not.
Wow.
So sheriffs,
Well
wake
said.
up and let's get this going.
Wake up
Yes.
and do your jobs. I mean,
Yes.
you're an elected representative of the American people. You're the last line of defense to protect these people per the Constitution against a tyrannical government. Take a look around, because I would say that that's exactly what we're facing. Sheriff Richard Mack, you're a hero as far as I'm concerned, and I hope he does actually run for office. He can come here to Florida. He can come to Minnesota. I split my time between those places. We would proudly endorse and support a Sheriff Mack administration.
Great conversation. So, lastly, let's plug this again, and we'll play this shorter. I think it's only, like a 5-minute, just over a 5-minute clip. But this Constitutional Sheriff's Peace Officers Association, it is in the description below. The link, that brochure he was pulling up, and much more. If I only had time and I was a better read, I tell you what, I'd be ordering up every book and diving on through. But it seems like there's great sources in here. But let's play this last clip and wrap things up for the night. I appreciate you all. I challenge you, come join a Muzzle Chat. Come guest on the platform. We need more people bringing. Maybe you actually have more viable solutions you feel we could go down that people would actually respond with excitement to, that would lead to the results we're seeking. Let's go ahead and play this.
Sheriff Richard Mack, the website is cspoa.org. He needs your help in getting the message of freedom out. And so, Sheriff, what do you make of this tyranny that we're witnessing? Maybe it's the biggest advance of tyranny we've seen in the U.S. perhaps since the founding.
Yes, it is. It could even be worse. We've come full circle to the exact point where the founding fathers decided they had no alternative but to declare war on their own government. And it was a very righteous decision. It wasn't made out of hate. It was made out of love for liberty. And they said...
I apologize if that just cut out the sound. I don't know what I clicked there, but hopefully it's back up. Can you hear okay?
You know what? We have to resort to violence or we're going to succumb to this tyranny from King George III and the English Parliament. So if you look closely, especially at the 27 reasons why the founding fathers decided to declare war that are listed within the Declaration of Independence, which really was a declaration of war against England, you can look at the 27 reasons, and almost all of them have been reenacted today by the Biden regime and others across the country. Some of them are done by governors. But the tyranny and oppression and corruption that we are suffering under today is beyond parallel. It is so outrageous. It is so cruel. It is so utterly corrupt that good is now called evil and evil is now called good.
Right.
And you can look at the Democrats scrambling around trying to lie about Joe Biden and his family, how the press is now lying and lying and lying. The major networks refuse to even address the issue of the corruption of the Biden family, and even declared that it's not true. But no, they completely ignore it. They are in the pocket of the corruption of Washington, D.C. politics. And that's the way it's been for quite some time. The networks all basically take sides.
There are literally hundreds of laws broken that totally implicate and show criminal activity, not just on just the Hunter Biden laptop alone. And it doesn't just implicate Hunter Biden himself, but Joe Biden as well. Like felony crimes. I don't understand it. What are sheriffs doing? Like, you're scared? You're scared of fulfilling your oath because a selected individual? I believe with the proper support, if the people really were behind these departments, they'd realize, oh, we could actually go after criminals in this country. And it doesn't matter what labels they obtained in our society. Yes, even the presidential seat itself.
It's really a shame. They're trying to outlaw the right to self-defense. And if anyone would look and read the Second Amendment and understand its historical perspective and its historical perspective or purpose, they would understand that the Second Amendment really isn't about my right to shoot at burglars when they come into my home, or to defend myself from rapists and my family from rapists or robbers. But it's there to protect our right as we the people, the first three words of the Constitution. It's there to protect our right to rebel. And the final say-so in our government is, in fact, we the people. We would not be able to have that final say.
Is it even rebelling? At the point, it's an oppressive, tyrannical, two-tiered infrastructure with mass corruption. It's not rebellion. We'd be fulfilling our duty against evil. That's what it is. They've been rebelling against all our rights. We'd just be fulfilling the very laws, the very duties that this country was founded upon. Let's speak frankly. It has been turned upside down. Good has been called evil, and evil has been called good. I agree.
If we are disarmed by the very government that is required by law to protect that right, and the only skin in the game that the federal government has regarding my right or your right to keep and bear arms is to guarantee it.
Yes.
And instead now they have created an unlawful, unconstitutional, and very oppressive BATF or BATFE, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, to monitor every citizen.
This is good.
Possession of firearms.
Unbelievable. That is unacceptable. In fact, I have someone close in my life that just recently got a suppressor and went through all the legal things, and luckily in this state of Arizona, it's been kind of expedited. What would you call that? It used to take upwards of a year or 6 months or a few months. And he got it. And I praise this because it isn't like Hollywood makes it out to be, that it's only used for, you only need it for assassination or like what? And it silences it so effectively that you could be a spy type of character and do the most horrific things, and yet no one will hear it. Like you could do it in a hotel. No, it's not like that. That's cartoonishville, aka Hollywood. That's not realistic, especially with a decent caliber. Maybe with a 22 it could actually get pretty quiet, but anything above that, are you kidding me? No, it's still gonna put out some serious sound. Okay. And what's wild was this gentleman actually was out hunting and got an opportune, and we don't all in a hunting scenario have really the means to throw on earplugs because you go from being in tune in that environment. So gosh dang, how many hunters are losing their hearing because the infringement of all the loopholes that are put into place to even obtain the gear. It's an infringement that we can't have semi-automatic. It's an infringement that we have these loopholes to suppressors. Unbelievable. We need to gain all this back. Once again, think about it. Just like drugs, you could put all the loopholes on it. You could put all these laws and regulations, and which is not to be infringed, and it is being infringed. All these loopholes are just that, an infringement. And all you're doing is keeping law-abiding individuals from obtaining that. What does it matter if you're going to be doing criminal activity? Why wouldn't you can gain access to this stuff? I mean, on the web, literally, they will be advertising an oil container, and it's clearly built out to be a suppressor. and it has the threads, the hole on the mount there, but that you have to drill out the chambers. So criminals have access to these things, folks. And in 5 minutes of shipping, they can make that an active suppressor. Let's not clown around. Now, I don't want to expose it so much because I believe we all should have access to these things without having to do this insane amount of paperwork on that suppressor. Now, yes, there should be, I don't know where I land on paperwork. And I mean, especially with all the invaders that are in our country criminally, just to be able to walk in. Yeah, there should be some type of paperwork, I believe, on a purchase or some type of vetting to an extent, but not to the point it's infringing on our rights. But you actually dive into the whole point of our Second Amendment, and it isn't necessarily just, it isn't for hunting. It's actually giving us the ability to fulfill our duty as citizens to a tyrannical government. Like that's really ultimately what it's about. So otherwise, that's the only equalizer that, I mean, I think our founding fathers were onto something. There's a reason why the First Amendment was the first. Freedom of speech and all that entails, but also then the firearms was number 2. So I do believe, just simply due to the fact, is it ludicrous to have a fully auto? You don't need that hunting. You don't need, but what you do need it for is our military has it. Other militaries have it. Our government has access to it. But we as civilians don't. That's, for lack of better words, it's not quite as vast as bringing a knife to a gunfight, but it is similar in that aspect when, let's say, a tyrannical government showing up with a fully automatic at your front door and you just have a semi-automatic. It does have that kind of knife to a gunfight effect. Just on sheer volume that they could put your way that you can't their way. So it is an equalizer. It is something we've allowed for far too long to just be infringed upon. And that kind of trajectory continues. It could be why we still have some of the freedoms we still have. Now, I cannot say we're entirely free because our First Amendment's trampled upon, and we just went over some of the examples right here on our Second Amendment being infringed upon. So we don't have full freedom. We have some. For some, it seems like enough. For some, it seems like they've been drinking the propaganda to a point and they haven't familiarized themselves with these and realized what an asset, what a tool, what a requirement in a way it is for those with the means and the responsibility can properly train up on them and feel comfortable. Like, my goodness, I'm so grateful for not just my upbringing, but for the influences in my life that even magnified getting more familiarized with all that. And there's just a lot of value to it, and not just in the Second Amendment, real reason behind it. But I digress. Let's continue with this.
And that's completely opposite of what the Constitution requires and has guaranteed to the American people. It is not their property once I purchase a gun. It is mine. Right. And in order to take my property, they must follow due process as delineated in the 4th and 5th Amendments.
Right.
And their failure to do so, and their failure to obey the Second Amendment, is a violation of law. And we need 100%. Sheriffs and local officials and governors that work together to make sure that the federal government doesn't come into our states and counties and deprive us of our God-given rights. And that's where we come in. The CSPOA is basically the only peaceful and effective solution in trying to achieve this goal of now civil rights being for every person of all religions, of all races. And we need to join hands as Americans our differences of religion and color notwithstanding, and stand for liberty and the civil rights that we were blessed with by God Almighty when we were born in this country, or when we became citizens of this great country. It's almost to the point of no return. But I am staying in the fight, and I ask all of you to join me in this holy cause. Each of you can become a member of the CSPOA posse and become a member and do an $11 a month donation or $99 a year, and be part of funding us and be part of what we are doing, and get educated with us, get a relationship going with your local officials, especially your sheriff, and let's start building the barriers that James Madison and the Founding Fathers admonished us to do. We have got to get moving, and we have got to be united, and we've got to be funded.
Love it. Great stuff. Well, I appreciate you for sticking this out, for hearing. I mean, this, I hope it's kind of a new realization for me. And as I research more of this, and I actually reach out personally to local sheriffs here, we'll see what kind of momentum and kind of spark and response comes off of all that, and whether it seems more tangible and realistic than some of these other paths that we've been led to go down a bit. So, could this possibly be one of the ways or directions we could take to gain real momentum and actually address so much of the corruption we are facing right here, right now in this country? I sure hope so. I sure hope we find and take the best path sooner versus later. Help us find that. It seems there's only one way to find out. So, more so collectively than just me, I mean, we can pool this information together and be like, well, we broke ground in this and this and this here or there. We're facing a challenge here. Well, shoot, maybe we could have that department talk to this other one and be like, look, guys, we need to team up. Sheriffs around, county to county, state to state. Join organizations or things like that webpage already built out. We literally will cover zero ground when we only stare at a path that lays before us. Time to get off our butts. Check it out. Those sheriffs do have the ability. They do have the means, and it is their duty to fulfill their oath. Let's hold them to it. That being said, Jesus is calling. Let's dive into this. Is this the last? November only goes to 30? It sure is. I'm glad we caught the last one before we move into December. This could be potentially another path for us to take individually that will give us the clarity to take these other paths, like the armor, the peace, the excitement as well. And this has been what's led to a lot of the breakthroughs. Do I still have these other challenging neurological defects with Lyme? Yeah, I do. But it is being lifted to a huge part, and I attribute that to none other than seeking the relation with God Himself. And it is a blessing to tap into some churches, but it is a blessing to keep relationship over any religion. Can't Satan potentially infiltrate some of these? Couldn't he potentially infiltrate some of the individuals that are involved in organized religion? Absolutely. So let's not allow that to get in the way of our personal relations. They also could be great vehicles. They could propel us in the right direction further than we can walk alone. So there is great opportunity, but I believe some will bless lives, some will also destroy lives. So November 30th reads, problems are a part of life. They are inescapable. Woven into the very fabric of this fallen world, you tend to go into problem-solving mode all too readily, acting as if you have the capacity to fix everything. This is a habitual response so automatic that it bypasses our conscious thinking. Not only does this habit frustrate you, it also distances you from me. And that's where I feel is I've based more of my days around this relationship. It just hasn't become automatic. He's giving me the insight and the clarity and lifting the veil, and more so than being frustrated showing up lately, I've been able to be excited, feel like this is a very blessed opportunity, and the lens has just changed for me. And I hope it stays this way, because it's like, instead of being really disgusted, which is very disgusting what evil's up to in this era and throughout all history, it's just disgusting what evil does. And it's challenging. But when you focus and you gain that clarity, you gain that peace, that light, that love, it humbles you in a sense. Like, dude, this is more so in the God of this world's hands, and then the creator God allowing the agency to take place, and what Jesus warned us about the God of this world and what he's up to. It just becomes humbling clear. It's combined words that don't even make sense, that we don't have that much control of anything. We're losing control of our own selves if we're being realistic. But to just be like, you know what? It's yours, God. It's entirely yours. But it isn't going to negate the responsibility as a man or woman and protecting and trying to secure a future and doing what I can. More importantly than, let's say, fighting back the spiritual war and winning the spiritual war, that we, through example, through light, through love, draw people in to more so save souls along the way than win this war we don't really have control over, but we can show up and do what we can do and not have fear, not have frustration. And it's only achieved through this relation. That's what it's been for me. Do not let fixing things be your top priority. You are ever so limited in your capacity to correct all that is wrong in the world around you. Don't weigh yourself down with responsibilities that are not your own. Instead, make your relationship with me your primary concern. Talk with me about whatever is going on in your mind, seeking my perspective on the situation. Yeah. It's not like I want to, in a way, my mortal self wants to push back on some of this, but I realize that in achieving this, when you gain his perspective and you've pushed past being ignorant to a situation and you've achieved knowledge, then there is a way of he will impress upon so many of us to apply our unique gifts in the most profound ways. Like, clearly his path will be more impactful, but it's uniquely guided. It's tough to, it's like I'm kind of even just speaking for myself, my own realizations as I go through this, but it wraps up with stating, rather than trying to fix everything that comes to your attention, ask me to show you what is truly important. Remember that you are en route to heaven, and let your problems fade in the light of eternity. Wow. That's very humbling right there. Just to be realistic and seek what we can do. I do believe we all have a role to play to an extent. This is how we achieve that. There's 3 biblical references. Challenge you to check them out. We got Psalm 32:8, Luke 10:41 through 42, and Philippines 3:20 through 21. I look forward to those reads. After this episode wraps up, which it'll be here very shortly, I appreciate you joining, supporting Unmuzzled Chat. I don't know where this path is ultimately gonna lead, but I do feel as convicted as ever, continuing on this path, doing whatever I can to help, I don't know, through my own personal experience, hopefully breathe enough light for people to challenge fighting against the depression, maybe suicidal tendencies, or being lost in the woods and absorbed into alcohol, and more so the frivolous, sinful walks that lead to great challenge. I mean, if we could ease some of that and get people, I'm just grateful for the breakthroughs I've had. And it has led to, I can't even say it's been an easier path, but it's been actually a meaningful, purposeful one. What better path is there? When the other, yes, it brought like empty excitement. There just wasn't any, it was empty. There is great blessing in showing up out of love for others, letting go of yourself. I look forward to achieving more of that myself. If you want, we have, so Bond Charge, by the way, our affiliation with Bond Charge, I didn't pay attention to the emails coming into the holiday season, and I noticed they sent me quite a few. Well, it seems as though our discount at 15%, that has gone away for the holiday season, but it's good news. If you click the link below this provided, there will be minor kickback to us. So if you want to check out Bond Charge products, there is no better time than right now, because more than the 15%, they're offering you 25%. So just click the link below. I know a lot of individuals that have been, like us all, struggling financially, but they've wanted to get infrared sauna blanket or an infrared red light, or so many things they're offering there. There's Blue Blocks glasses. Check them out. It's all true, tried, tested equipment. You could look at the reviews on them all. It's great products that is bringing some health and function back to lives. That really is invaluable. Now, I know there's a lot of companies out there trying to sell magic pills and this and that. I'm trying to do my best to vet them and experience it for myself. And I have a red light I use daily. Helps me get out of bed. It even helps my sleep. But the infrared sauna blanket, fantastic. I do have Blue Blocks glasses. I need to get better. Like, I probably should be wearing them right now, because this is an evening episode and all the blue light, maybe even this LED light is not, it's probably going to mess up my sleep a little bit. So maybe I'll be rocking those in an episode for my PM episodes. We'll see. But there's great savings to be had on all these products. Patriot Mobile, EMP Shield. My gosh, EMP Shield. I'm looking forward to reaching out to them on more personal levels, because the investments that have been done even on this particular camper with the solar and the Starlink and all this equipment, it's just nonsensical to not have an EMP unit on this very camper. I know individuals in my life that have these DC solar trailers. It's just nonsensical. They're very expensive mobile generators to not protect that investment. I know individuals that have off the grid properties with solar, backup battery, backup generators. It would be worth its value in gold just on this end of the spectrum to protect our electronics. But when you have a system that is fully operational on its own, like, it's just illogical not to have one. And that's how I view EMP with our vehicles, because those could be rendered not even a paperweight. It's what they provide us. I mean, it just makes sense why the water engine, that individual was murdered, clearly running out of the restaurant. I was poisoned. And think of this. This is just so clear, folks. The corruption our government wouldn't have allowed if they weren't / behind the scenes. Okay, if the man got murdered because he wouldn't sell to a certain company, well, if the government was on our side as a people, his research would have not disappeared. He not only created he created a kit that we could convert our own gas engines to running on water. He calculated with the miles he would get, it would only take 22 gallons to go to the East Coast to the West Coast. 22 gallons of water. That is freedom that our government didn't. How else were they not behind his killing, with the egregious outcome of all what he developed just gone, missing? They had to be behind it. They couldn't allow us that level of freedom. It's why when it boils down to everything, yeah, sure. You know what? Finish your thoughts, James. I apologize. I do get scrambled. But that's why I feel they've been pushing so hard to shift us into electric and not even give us the choice, as though it's greener, and it's not. Could it potentially possibly be? Sure. Would I see how it could appease to even people right now in certain situations? If that's something you want to check out and you find cool, yeah, there's cool aspects to it. All-wheel drive, the torque of electric, get out of here. It's insane. It's really cool. But there's also something really cool about muscle cars and the sound and just that type of power. So there should be choice there. But it is clear to me when you really dive in and research why they pushing it so hard. Well, they could have more control over that and limit you. There's less freedom to that product right now, and futuristically. And there's so many other holes. We're not here to dive into it all, but what it all boils down to, think of just your vehicle and how much freedom, how much protection it provides. Let's protect that freedom by getting a dang EMP shield on there. Click the link below. They're not just offering you $50 off a singular product, or a singular order, but every product you order, you're getting $50 off through that link below. Just follow the prompts. Well, it's time to get to bed. Wind down. I got a whole PM regiment with this freaking lime and this detox. This parasite cleanse is no joke. I did not realize out the gate, I'll admit, that this was a 3-month protocol. It's wreaking havoc. I hope it's a good thing, but we'll see in the end, and I'll be happy to report if there's a good result on the actual product itself, with even no affiliation with them. I love y'all. Let's consider this path. Let's brainstorm about other paths. It's just about seeing and securing a better tomorrow, but there's lots we need to address right now. And we're going to be going into one of them that has been ramped up profoundly. Guys, there's a distinction between a contrail and a chemtrail. And they both can't exist under the same umbrella, the same description they state as water vapors and ice crystallization. It's one or the other, okay? So we'll just leave you with that to ponder. But please join us tomorrow. It's going to be around noon, maybe 1 o'clock. We're going to dive into Freakin skies. If If you haven't seen that yet, it's enough. They bring enough evidence. The actual individuals saying it themselves. My gosh, if you're like, no, that's too conspiratorial, boom, before you exit this, how is it conspiratorial when there's active lawsuits? I could even pull it up on X real quick. I know I plugged it the other day on X. If you'll bear with me, why don't we do that? Just real quick. Bear with me. So this wouldn't be happening if in fact, oh, that's horrific. Some of these things are just so challenging. That's not it. Here, give us a second here. Oh my gosh. Some of these posts. Oh, that's so terrible. There's a lot on chemtrails right here. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? I hope I didn't scroll past it. I'm very active on X, by the way. It's just a very easy platform to obviously get information out on. You know what? I'll have it queued up for tomorrow's episode. But essentially, there's another state taking action, actual legal pursuit to knock out the spraying in their skies. Think of it. It can't be conspiratorial when that is in fact taking place. When we actually prove Tennessee banned chemtrails. And what do they get? Lo and behold, yeah, I totally passed it. I'm into a whole other... I just scrolled by. I apologize. I thought I could pull that up quick enough for you. I failed. But it's just proof. We are being spread. And it is so shocking and alarming when you find out the impacts of what is being sprayed to our neurological function, to our bodies on a cellular level, together, maybe through the sheriffs versus our state officials. Maybe together we'll find even a more direct path through the sheriffs, through whatever means. I'm so excited to find that. Like that, now we're actually fulfilling the love we have for our loved ones by knocking those things out. I can only imagine the spiritual gains and so many gains to be had in this life. That's what we're here to do. Hope I can get better at finding some paths for us to take that lead to results. Appreciate you so much. Look forward to our episode tomorrow. May our loving Creator bless you this evening. Until next time, take care.